morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Delmar Johnson, and I am with Delmar Johnson Enterprises. And this morning, you are with us online and in our live audience of BOCI TV. I am an advisor for BOCI, and today we are talking about leadership in keeping excellence. So I welcome the audience that's live, and I welcome the audience that's out there in the internet world. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So today I'm going to be giving you just a little perspective of what I believe leadership is for me, because leadership can be different for everybody. And being that this is an interactive audience, I won't be just looking at the camera. I'll be looking at you all too to help me out. Okay? So, leadership to me. Well, I was thinking, had a few thoughts a few minutes ago about where leadership came from for me, or how I stepped into leadership. And it actually took me all the way back to my high school years. Because even in high school, even though I may not have thought about it as being leadership at that time, I was in roles where my peers actually looked up to me, or thought I was the smart girl, whatever that meant. But keeping order in some of the organizations I was in high school and everything, kind of put me in the position of leadership, like I said, not even really knowing what a leadership role was that young of an age, 15, 16, 17 years old in high school. So I believe that's really where my initial leadership began to happen. And I think some of the qualities of a leader for myself is being knowing how to relate to others. And it doesn't matter what state of life someone is in at that time, but just being able to be relatable. I think a lot of people relate leadership to titles, because if you're a manager or a supervisor or something like that, it doesn't always equate to leadership. Management is usually managing, the bottom line and everything, but leadership is about leading people. It's about being relatable to people. For me, that's what it is. And I have a few notes that I wrote down for myself, to little cheat notes, so I can stay on point. But a few characteristics I believe all leaders should have. Whether, like I said, I started in high school, moved through college, went to corporate America, and had some leadership roles there, if you will. But as a person, I believe trust is a big thing when it comes to leadership. Just as in business, people, the mantra is people do business with people they like, know, and trust. Okay? So I think in leadership, that's the same way. People have to have a sense of trust in what you're doing. Also, you have to have integrity about yourself. How do you carry yourself in everyday life, whether you're around someone or not? Okay? You're even a leader of yourself, even if you're not leading anybody else. Okay? Because you're with yourself every day. So you have to be able to go through the facets of leadership, even when you're in a room by yourself. I also think you have to have a servant attitude. And I believe that's something that I truly have, is really a gift of helps, if you will, because I have been in a servant role through volunteership. Right now I volunteer with Girls Inc., and I've been doing that for the last couple of years, trying to volunteering with them and mentoring young ladies anywhere from 9 to 17 years old in Girls Inc. So I believe you have to have a servant attitude. You have to be able to serve, give, and you shall receive. Okay, be able to influence people, be able to inspire people. A leader should also know how to be a follower. You can't always be in the forefront, if you will. You can't always be the leader of the pack. If you're going to be an effective leader, you have to also know how to follow. You have to listen to others. You can't just listen to yourself and what you're saying. So people want to know that, want to see that you can also be a follower as well as a leader. I think you also have to be assertive and expressive in being a leader. And I actually found something that in my notes in leadership 101 that I have, and I found 18 lessons for leaders by Colin Powell. Now, I'm not going to read all 18, but there were a few that stuck out to me that I want to share with you all. And being a leader, keep looking below surface appearances. Don't shrink from doing just because you might not like what you find. So sometimes leaders will run into things they don't always like, but you still have to be able to forge through those things to make them better if that is the case. Leaders honor their core values. We all should have values that we follow in our lives, in our everyday life, in our interacting with everyone. So leaders honor their core values, but they are flexible in how they execute them. That's another quality I believe a leader should definitely have: flexibility. They say the one constant is change. So change is happening every day, and if you're not flexible enough to go through that change, then it's going to be kind of tough being an effective leader, in my opinion. A couple of other ones: shift the power and the financial accountability to folks who are bringing in the beans. That's from a corporate standpoint, not the ones who are counting or analyzing them. So those people are at the ground level. If we're talking about leaders in a corporate setting, be able to put some accountability and responsibility on those people that you're leading. Surround yourself with people who take their work seriously, but not themselves. Sometimes we can take ourselves so seriously, and I'm very guilty of that. I can be more hard on myself than anyone else in the world. So, but you need to be able to not be so serious with yourself. Be serious enough, to handle business, to handle the leadership role that you're in, but don't be so stiff that you don't know how to laugh at yourself sometimes. What else about leadership? Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any feedback when I'm speaking about leadership? Want to join in the conversation? Yes.
I'd like to ask
Shelley Bauer.
I'd like to ask you, when you touched on Colin Powell's 18 keys there of lessons for leaders, you talked really about having courage to face what is uncomfortable.
Yes.
Can you talk about a situation when you were in a really uncomfortable, challenging opportunity to rise to the leadership, and tell us what that experience was like and how you overcame the challenge?
Most definitely. Thank you, Shelley. Shelley always come up with the best questions. Let's kind of go back to the recesses of my mind. I was in a role in corporate America. I take that as an example where we actually had a disciplinary situation, for lack of a better word, a disciplinary situation where another person's culture was, was offended. That's the word, was offended. So these two individuals I had to speak to, one was from Afghanistan area, and the other one's from America. And there was a situation that was going on where I had to sit down with them, and like I said, we're talking about culture, we're talking about racial issues that was going on, which can be a very tough thing to lead. And I was their on-site manager in this role, so I was the first line of discussion with them. So what I did was, the protocol was to actually speak with them individually to get get both of their sides of what was going on, and then actually bring them together in the end to say, okay, this is what I hear you saying, this is what I hear you saying. It's an uncomfortable situation, but this is where we need to get to. This is what his perspective was. This is what your perspective was. There was a conflict what was said, but at the end of the day, once we got through where the perspectives were on both sides, then we actually came to a common ground that his intention was not to offend her culture and what was going on the TV in that time, because it was a lot of political talk about Afghanistan at that time. So getting to that point actually was testing ground for me to deal with that kind of issue at that time. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Anybody else before we wrap up? Yes, why?
Why would you be able to bring over some of your corporate training to the volunteer nonprofit piece? Because that's where I am. So tell me how you would apply that, or maybe one thing that you have found that worked in corporate that you have been able to bring to your volunteer piece.
I think one of the biggest things in my volunteer piece, and it's a quality that I didn't have listed down, but it just came to mind, is being able to listen. Being able to listen. When you're, particularly with Girls Inc., I'm dealing with a bunch of teenagers. Okay? So there's a whole bunch of attitudes and different opinions about what's going on in their life. So being able to listen. We have rap sessions when I go to my Girls Inc. sometime. I can't even get to my session because there's so much going on, so much chatter in their head that they need to talk about. So I allow them to have rap sessions, and we talk very, very openly, very plainly about what's going on. So I think listening is a quality that you can always take, whether you're in corporate America or a nonprofit environment. Thank you so much. They're wrapping me up here, so I appreciate the time of speaking to you about leadership, and I hope it brought some value to your day. Thank you so much.
Delmar?
Yes.
We do have some outside interest.
Awesome.
We have Marcus Ken Handsome, who's actually in here. I always call him Handsome, not Hampson.
Okay.
I'm at the weekly Business Over Coffee event. We are learning about leadership today at BO Coffee. Then we have Shelby Citra and 2 others who have followed us. And we have Tamara, and I'm not even going to try to say that last name, who favorited us. So let's give it up for the
All right. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for tuning into my segment on leadership in keeping excellence with BOCI TV. Until next time, bye-bye.